Dawn drumming on Wudang Mountain calls the monks to perform their morning rituals. Taoism in China goes back thousands of years, and this is the most sacred place for the country's oldest surviving religion. Known for its peace and enlightenment, this mountain in central China has a special place in history and literature. For hundreds of years, religious practices here have been favoured by emperors and paupers alike. Not only for spiritual nourishment, but because on Wudang Mountain, Taoism goes hand in hand with Kung Fu.
理解他人是自身的精神，我们自己的精气神。为学他四两拨千斤，一柔克刚，以静制动。这些我们来说，我们爱好武术。
Zhong Yunlong started learning Kung Fu when he was 13. Like other Taoist monks, his current age is a secret, but he's certainly not young anymore. He says for powerful Kung Fu, the body is not enough. You need religion.
大家都知道，这个人到一定的年龄之后，体能是下降的。 肌肉是萎缩的，因为他的血液循环，他的这个血气啊就不够了，虚弱了，然后他就萎缩了。然后他到了宗教以后，他会更久的去发展。
But the practices here said to enrich Kung Fu were nearly lost during the Cultural Revolution in the 1970s. For a decade, religion, other than the worship of Chairman Mao Zedong, was prohibited. When China opened up again in the 1980s, granting its people wider freedoms, Zhong Yunlong was one of the first Taoist believers who came to Wudang Mountain to become a monk.
开放了以后呢，慢慢的都知道了一点道教的文化也浮出这个社会了，大家慢慢了解了，现在就不一样了。
According to this belief system, tranquility brings wisdom and energy, and this will in turn deliver a long and healthy life. In recent times, more and more Chinese people are travelling to Wudang Mountain in pursuit of these ideals. Many make the pilgrimage to its most holy site at the mountain peak. To come to these mountains and walk up here does take a level of effort. But whether you're a believer or not, a key reason for doing it is simply to see this old and mysterious place. In the heavily worn steps of their forefathers, Chinese people are again scaling the mountain in order to reach the shrine of Zhenwu Dadi. He was a local prince who's said to have achieved the status of a god when he leapt off the mountain more than 3,000 years ago.
信仰道教，还能修身养性嘛？
是吗？
对，
所以是真的可以帮助你。
真的可以啊！你心中有神在，就有神在呀。
最重要的就是说，在自己生活富足之余，就是来为自己的父母，来为自己子女。 为父母求平安，为子女求共鸣。
China once had communism as a guiding principle, but as the country has now pretty well abandoned it, many people are looking for something to fill the void. For others, it's simply because they're inquisitive. Either way, Taoism, Buddhism and Islam have all seen a significant increase in believers. But there's been one religion in particular which has experienced phenomenal growth, and the real level of participation is not even known. The Chongyi Church in Hangzhou is the biggest Chinese Christian church in the world. On the day we visit, there are around 5,500 worshippers here. But this building can hold 10,000 people if they squeeze in shoulder to shoulder.
以前2005年刚落成的时候，聚会不到2000人，现在超过8000人，4倍。
人人都有罪。
Senior pastor Joseph Gu runs this very model of a modern evangelical church.
你们听见这200
They're cashed up with booming attendance figures and riding a wave of Chinese interest in matters spiritual. On this Easter Sunday, 237 new believers are baptized.
别去娘姊妹，我们奉耶稣基督的名为你施洗，使你归入这个名下。阿门。
必须承认一件事，这个人啊，不但需要物质的供应，吃啊喝啊，需要精神的享受，音乐啊，这个跳舞啊，或者是交流。
As well as popularity, enthusiastic worshippers, and a swanky new church building, Chongyi has something else: government acceptance. The church is officially registered and ultimately answers to the State Religious Affairs Administration.
我知道他们有的时候他们说你们跟政府太近，你们应该听政府说话。你觉得他们说的对吗？
如果你不给他们来，他们怎么去听福音呢？所以我就得给他们交流，而且他们也真正实质的帮我们，像杭州能够找这个崇义堂，现在在下沙找一个大教堂，都是政府帮我们，都是政策的具体表现。OK。
But elsewhere here in Zhejiang province, relations between evangelical Christians and the government have not been so rosy. Zhejiang, in the country's affluent southeast, is a hub of Christianity. In some cities here, it's estimated that 1 in 10 people are Christians. The reason the real figure isn't known is that there are 2 types of churches in China: officially sanctioned and underground. The latter are also called house churches because they meet in informal locations. They're known as underground because to be a member is to belong to an illegal body, and the authorities are wary of any group that organises any type of activities without government control.
Looks like they're in a taxi today.
So when we try and make contact with these underground churches, we start to see the same people hanging around us wherever we go. The moment we arrive in this province, we're being watched, presumably because the authorities knew we were coming after having tapped our phones and read our emails. Every trip to the shop, every walk down the street means being tailed by plainclothes agents. And though we have a lot of new friends, some of these faces will start to become very familiar. Driving also means being followed by the black Hondas of the local security services. At one point, we're tailed for 4 hours in between cities. And no matter what obscure part of this province we visit, they go with us.
You might think that around 24 officers using 6 cars would be what you'd need for, say, a major homicide investigation or to break up a drug ring. But that's the number of plainclothes agents we've spotted so far who've been tailing us down here. So the Chinese government is prepared to throw that level of resources into monitoring a few journalists who've done nothing more than tried to make contact with some underground Christians.
Despite the security presence, an underground church leader agrees to meet us. We warn him that we'll draw the secret police to his flat, and indeed that's what happens, but he says to come anyway.
我们是属于认为我们人都是败坏的，需要主的恩典的这一类，这个如果说那个的话，我们应该是属于基要派里面的福音派。
70-year-old Zheng Datong is a pastor at a house church in the city of Wenzhou. He takes a considerable risk by speaking to us.
我们基督教是讲到有神的，我们讲到需要公义啊，有爱啊，有道德啊，不能腐败啊，这些可能会他们以为是对那些团工无力啊有点不利。随便聊的时候。
He says people join house churches for all sorts of reasons. Some are unhappy with the operation or doctrine of official churches. Some are wary of their government connections. In Pastor Zheng's case, this choice has led him and his family into conflict with the authorities.
80年代好像也还不太有问题，就是90年代的时候有些问题。90年代。 我本人在94年和97年有碰到一些问题。
那什么样的问题？
就是为信仰的缘故坐牢吗？
所以我们可以说你现在怕不怕？
啊，现在我们没什么可怕的嘛。
因为为什么？
啊？为什么？因为我们有上帝同在，我们也没做什么吗？
Zheng Datong says he has nothing to be afraid of. But throughout our interview, secret police gather outside his house. He's not keen to expose his congregation to this type of pressure, so we're not able to film one of his services. Pastor Zheng says in the past, governments have misunderstood house churches like his, and that actually Christians and the Communist Party have much in common.
最空虚、最柔弱的那个部分，就是里面最重要的，好像人和人之间需要有爱啊，需要我们事情需要公义啊，就是我们不仅是关心自己，要关心别人啊。这些我看我们现在国家的政府也应该是喜欢这些，也是提倡这些的。
It's estimated that there are 1 million Christians here in Wenzhou city alone, many of them in unofficial churches. Yet we're unable to film an underground service here because of the constant presence of the authorities. After being pursued for 5 days, we decide to go up and ask these agents why they've been following us. On this day, they're waiting for us in the foyer of our hotel like they have been every day.
你干什么东西啊？你干什么东西啊？
为什么跟着我们？你们是谁？
我怎么跟着你们？
你们是谁？
你是谁啊？
你是谁？
我跟你说，
哎，
我说，
哎，我们不知道你是谁。
你是谁？你为什么拍我？怎么？你为什么要拍我？
你为什么？
我跟你说，你是谁啊？你是谁啊？对不起。你可以给警察。你可以给我，为什么拍我客人啊？
They clearly prefer the anonymity of spying on others to being filmed themselves.
Well, we've just approached these people who've been following us and had quite an extreme reaction from them. Now, we've asked the hotel people here to call on the normal police to come here for our own protection, and there's no sign that they're coming, so we don't quite know what to do. I don't trust who these people are. Then if we... Actually, they're going over to our car now to ask questions there, so, yeah, we don't quite know what to do.
Outside the hotel, the pushing and shoving continues as we wait for the uniformed police. The official story, which will be conveyed to us by the local authorities, is that these men were having a simple business meeting in the hotel when we interrupted them. That they're not government agents and that they haven't been following us. But our footage doesn't lie. Here's one man in the foyer of the hotel, and here he is watching us in the city the day before. Here's another in the hotel, and here he is also following us in the city. We're given a government directive to erase our footage because apparently we've unfairly accused these men, but we managed to hang on to it. As we've found, getting inside an underground church can be very difficult. But we try again, travelling to the far south of China to the sprawling city of Guangzhou. This time there are no telephone calls or emails prior to our visit. We just turn up.
Well, it may not look like it, but amongst these back streets, which are just rammed with apartment blocks, there's said to be an underground church which can hold 1,000 people. So we're here to try and find it.
We reach the house church run by Samuel Lam. This 86-year-old preacher has spent a good part of his life getting into trouble because of his quite dogmatic beliefs. But his popularity has only grown.
原来400嘛，后来到了900嘛，后来到了2000嘛，现在4000嘛。咁萬物咁奇妙嘅。
Pastor Lam preaches in one hall, then via a network of televisions, he's carried through a rabbit warren of rooms. This honeycomb of a church services thousands of believers by having multiple gatherings. But before the 1980s, life wasn't as easy for Samuel Lam and his congregation.
Oh, in jail, I worked in the coal mine for 14 years. Many years in Guangdong, and then they moved me to North China, work in the coal mine.
Now, why did they send you to jail? What did the government send you to jail?
They said I was an anti-revolutionary because I preached the gospel. Oh, you are anti-revolutionary.
Pastor Lam says he's been asked by the authorities to officially register his church, but he refuses.
Obey the government. If not mixed up with our faith, we obey. If it's something against our faith, not obey.
Samuel Lam says he won't merge with the registered churches because they're not real believers and they're controlled by the government. Theologically, he says this means restrictions on preaching about the second coming of Christ, a big theme of his. He says that because oil is about to run out, the world will end soon, that earthquakes, tsunamis, and even the existence of the modern state of Israel all prove that Jesus will return in just a few years' time. Pastor Lam also says it's been years since his church has been raided. He believes there's in part a tactical reason for this. If these churchgoers are being left alone, that's certainly not the universal experience at the moment. The country is in the midst of a major crackdown, going well beyond Christians. Calls on the internet for China to copy Middle Eastern protests have led the authorities to pick people off the streets who are considered potential troublemakers. Christians are caught up in this. In recent weeks, every Sunday, there's been a massive police presence in northwestern Beijing. This followed the naming of Zhongguancun shopping area as a site for outdoor church services.
We've been told there's going to be a gathering of Christians somewhere around here this morning. These are people who used to have a house church where they could gather. Now they've got nowhere to do it, so they've said they were going to meet in the street to worship. They were supposed to do it at 8:30. It's now 8:30 and not a sign of them anywhere here.
There must be 1,000 officers here, including riot police, to stop the service from happening. We walk in to take a look. Police guard every vantage point. The area where the gathering was to take place is roped off like a crime scene. But despite the intimidation, worshippers from the Shouwang Church start arriving. And as they do, they're taken away. Our presence is not welcomed by the Beijing police.
新东方门前发现澳大利亚广播公司2名记者龙山、麦迪文完毕。
We're told that to report in this part of the city, special permission is now required 3 days in advance. We're asked to leave.
大风车。
On this day, many dozens of Christians are rounded up and taken away by the busload. They're driven to a makeshift detention area. We filmed the detained Christians clapping and singing on board a police bus as they head off to an uncertain future. Some 10 leaders from the Shouwang Church remain under house arrest, but the vast majority of these churchgoers have been released. In material terms, most Chinese would measure their lives today as considerably better than their compatriots of decades gone by. But there are those who are searching for something more and who won't submit their beliefs to government control.
那没可能的，别人叫我不要信主，那是没可能的。将来肯定会中国会有很多人信耶稣。 我们依靠神啊，神会帮我安排，帮我们开出路啊。
The government here is very concerned about groups which can organise beyond its reach, putting certain believers and the state on what seems to be a collision course. It's hard to see who's more stubborn, the Chinese authorities or these evangelical Christians. Either way, a solution will be hard to find, with neither side prepared to back down.